Breaking news into SportsCenter. David Lloyd and Brian Custer here with you, and let's dive right in. Adam Schefter, what can you tell us?
All right, David, we have a new hiring in the National Football League. The Baltimore Ravens, a short time ago, reached agreement with Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter on a 5-year contract to bring him back to Baltimore, where he started his NFL coaching career in 2017. He worked underneath John Harbaugh from 2017 to 2020 in Baltimore. He visited Baltimore on Wednesday and did not leave the building. The Cleveland Browns were hoping to get him in. That didn't happen. He did not wind up visiting the Browns. Instead, he gets a deal done with the Baltimore Ravens to keep him in Baltimore for at least the next 5 seasons. And he'll have the job and the task of replacing the head coach that he used to work for in Baltimore, John Harbaugh, after spending the last 4 years in Los Angeles working, or the last couple of years in Los Angeles with Jim Harbaugh, also in Ann Arbor with Jim Harbaugh. Lots of familiarity with the Harbaughs. Now has to replace John in Baltimore.
So, Adam, the Ravens said they wanted to go in a new direction. You've talked about that he's coached under Harbaugh. How will Minter try to be different than the man he coached under for a few years?
Well, if we look at the history of the Ravens head coaching hires, Brian Billick and Ted Marchibroda had offensive backgrounds. John Harbaugh had a special teams background, and Jesse Minter is the first coach in franchise history that comes from a defensive background, which seems interesting for a team and a franchise that we think of defense when you think of the Baltimore Ravens. He brings that defensive acumen, that intelligence into Baltimore. It's what they were looking for, but let's be honest here. Despite his defensive specialties, his biggest challenge and his biggest test will be the relationship that he forms with Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson and how that situation manages itself, because Lamar Jackson did not play up to his usual self last year. A lot of questions about Lamar swirling all around the league, and it will be up to Jesse Minter to forge that relationship and make sure Lamar Jackson is happy so that he can get the best out of Lamar Jackson in Baltimore.
All right, so with Minter to the Ravens, Adam, now 5 head coaching vacancies left in the NFL, and one of those is in Buffalo. What can you tell us about the Bills' search to replace Sean McDermott?
They had 2 head coach candidates in there today interviewing for the job. The former New York Giants head coach Brian Daboll and the Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. They also are expected to speak with the former Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, the Commanders run game coordinator Anthony Lynn, and the Jaguars offensive coordinator Grant Udinski. So clearly a whole cast of candidates that Baltimore's trotting through. It's been a while since the Bills have been through this process. It's obviously a critically important hire to the future of that franchise, to Josh Allen, to moving into a new stadium, and they want to talk to as many people as they can, and that doesn't include the potential candidates coaching in this weekend's conference championship games, of which there are coaches that Buffalo will be interested in.
Brian Daboll, an interesting name. Of course, he was the OC there in Buffalo with Josh Allen for several years. Keep it in the AFC East. The Dolphins, they have an all-new GM-coach combo, John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, both coming in from Green Bay. First order of business, what are you going to do with Tua after the quarterback was benched and said he would welcome a trade? Listen to this.
The thing that I think we have to focus most on right now is making sure that we build infrastructure. And yes, we need to get the quarterback situation in place, but we're not going to do it in an irresponsible manner where we sacrifice building the infrastructure of this football team so that when we do find our guy, he can go be successful, whoever that may be, whether it's Tua, Quinn, or somebody that's not in the building. We have a team that he can go play and win with.
Definitely going to get those two guys confused at some point in the near future. Anyway, Sullivan not showing his hand at this early stage in Miami. Adam, what are you hearing about the future of Tua with the Dolphins?
David, they clearly were non-committal to Tua Tagovailoa there, and the expectation around the league is that the Dolphins will be parting ways with Tua at some point this offseason. The question is how and when. Do they find a trade partner for him? Do they designate him a post-June 1 salary cap casualty? There'll be $99 million of dead cap money that the Dolphins have to absorb? Do they spread it out over 2 years, or do they just say, we're going to take it all on in 1 year in this rebuilding project that we have on our hands when we're in a division with Josh Allen and Drake May? These are the decisions that John Eric Sullivan, the new general manager, Jeff Hafley, the new head coach, will have to make moving forward, but undoubtedly, the quarterback will be the biggest decision that this team makes. They have to go find one, and they have to find a way to extricate themselves from the Tua Tagovailoa contract.
And if that $99 million dead cap hit sounds like a lot, it is. It'd be the most in history, surpassing Russell Wilson's $85 million hit with the Broncos, who have somehow managed to get to the AFC title game. Adam with the very latest from around the NFL.